Mac Miller's devastated ex-girlfriend has broken her silence for the first time since his death on Friday at the age of 26. Nomi Leasure, who was Mac's childhood sweetheart since they met in high school and dated him for 6 years, has told of her heartbreak in a painfully raw story penned shortly before his apparent drug overdose. In a Tumblr post that she made public last night, Nomi wrote about the last time they saw each other and how they were finally able to be honest with each other about the cause of their split. Wrote this nearly a week ago, about a person who forever changed my life. But in truth, no one could ever really know, she captioned a snapshot of her story on Instagram. In the heart-wrenching post, Nomi talks about meeting up with Mac in a bar around the corner from the home they once shared together for a talk about finding closure. They say living in the past is what causes depression, so have no past, she wrote. She was choosing to have no past to not let a person exist only in a former state of her being. Because then she was locked there too, stuck also in that intangible place. Some version of herself back then. A version she couldn't determine if she still or ever really was. If you had seen them sitting there you'd determine he liked pale ales, she was getting tipsy and was trying to be restrained. He had a lot to unload. A lot of untruths to untangle from the headlines. And she had always been a good listener. Nomi added that they owed their lives to each other and said the past does always remain a part of your present, that it all at once surrounds you like air and gravity, real, invisible, necessary. The writer, who also works as an agony aunt, had previously written about being in a relationship with someone suffering from depression earlier this year. She answered a reader's question in Taylor magazine in March, while Mac was still dating Ariana Grande, and advised her not to take on her partner's depression as a burden. Describing depression as a silent, creeping beast, Nomi opened up about her experience of supporting Mac while he was struggling to cope with the disease and his addictions. I dated someone with some serious mental health and addiction issues for the better part of 6 years, and I won't sugarcoat this: when you are the girlfriend of someone suffering from a mental disease you will frequently be the one to overcorrect, she wrote. What I mean is, you will be the one who compromises, who is being asked or expected to make sacrifices on behalf of the other person. You may be blamed, even, for their pain, or if you can believe it, be blamed for being the only thing that actually brings them any happiness. The concessions will come from your end with frequency. And if your partner isn't putting in as much work, it can quickly begin to feel unfair, imbalanced and, ultimately, as though you're being mistreated. Nomi's advice echoes what Ariana said 2 weeks after her own split from Mac in May this year. She broke up with him just before he got a DUI from drunkenly wrapping his car around a telegraph pole, but when a follower attempted to blame her for Mac's actions, Ariana hit back. How absurd that you minimize female self-respect and self-worth by saying someone should stay in a toxic relationship because he wrote an album about them, which BTW isn't the case. Just Cinderella is about me, she blasted in RESP once. I am not a babysitter or a mother, and no woman should feel that they need to be. Ariana went on, I have cared for him and tried to support his sobriety and prayed for his balance for years, and always will, of course. But shaming/blaming women for a man's inability to keep his S together is a very major problem. Let's please stop doing that. The 25-year-old singer, who had dated Mac since August 2016, admitted it had been hard and scary trying to support Mac through his problems and hadn't felt able to discuss it in public. I will continue to pray from the bottom of my heart that he figures it all out and that any other woman in this position does as well, she added.